Hello, podcasters, and welcome once again to Sexplosion. Today, we'll be talking about swinging. It's a topic that so many people want to know about and want to explore. And that's what we're going to do today. And I'd like to welcome back Hippy, who has practiced relationship anarchy since his 20s, which has given him a wide range of relationship experiences over the last 30 years. Now, if you're new to Sexplosion, my name is Caroline Chenier from CarolineChenierCoaching.com, and I'm your coach in all things intimacy, relationship, sex, and super consciousness. So, welcome, Hippy, back to Sexplosion.
Thanks for having me
again. So, let's talk about swinging now. I have been to lots of parties where there've been swinging. I've not been part of swinging, but I've seen all the swinging people, whether it be club or whether it's parties. So can I ask you, what's your experience of swinging?
Oh, where to start? Yeah. Oh my God, I wouldn't know where to start, to be honest. The first threesome was 2021, something like that.
Actually, I have been part of it. Oh my God, you've made me realise. Okay, I'll tell you about that in a minute. Carry on.
No, go on. I'm more interested in you now.
Well, it was I was at a wedding with my boyfriend a long time ago, and the girl I was with at this wedding was very naughty, and I remember wanting to be naughty like her, and I was kind of hoping that something may happen, and so when my boyfriend said, "I'm going to bed now," we both looked at each other, me and this girl, and we said, "What's he got to bed for?" I said, "No idea." So about 10 minutes later, we both said, should we go and find him? So we did. And we went up to him like naughty girls, went up to him, knocked on the door, and there he was, stark naked on his tummy, watching telly with the light on. And so that's when it all started. And I was in charge, of course. I was saying what they could do, what they couldn't do. Yeah. You know, it's really, I was the only one with clothes on at the end. For some reason, I still had my clothes on.
Yeah.
So tell me about you.
Oh God, yeah. First threesomes, 2021. Can't remember exactly where. That was the worst threesome I've ever had, and even that was brilliant. But it was a massive learning curve. It was just a learning curve. You've got to be really careful who you play with. Since then, I have honestly lost count of threesomes I've had.
Amazing.
Someone asked me a couple of years ago to count on. I was no chance. I haven't got a clue. And it's not like I'm a massive, player or anything like that. It just kind of literally lands in my lap. I think because I'm quite open about it, because I talk about it, and I'm a safe bet for a lot of people because I managed to navigate it without loads of drama and whatever. I think some people are then like, oh no, that'd be a safe place to play, because at the end of the day, it's who you play with is really, really important.
Now I want to ask you about that. Yeah, why is that important?
You've got to have someone who is mature emotionally and really open about sex, who you play with. You can't, someone who's closed-minded, who thinks that they're just going to get a quick go or playing games or anything like that, you've got to avoid it. It's choosing well. Take your time finding partners. It's got to be people that you can trust.
And what could go wrong?
Emotional attachment or perceived emotional attachments, people being selfish or whatever in bed. It's all about energy and fun. You and your partner, you have a great sex life and you're having loads of fun together. When you add another person into that, what you want is someone who's going to add to that, not have a selfish attitude or bad reasons for doing it, if you know what I mean.
Jealousy can come in as well.
Yeah, I mean, jealousy between partners is something that most people, I think, have to work through at some point. You know what I mean? But it's defining jealousy, though. If it's insecurity, that's different.
That's more like it, yeah. Insecurity.
That's different, and it's looking at all of these different emotions and feelings that you get and working out how, it's being honest, right? And I always say this with all of it: you have to be honest, but you have to be honest with yourself before you can be honest with anyone else. So if you go into it thinking, I really want the experience, but I'm really insecure about it, well, I'm going to ignore that because I want the experience. That's going to bite you in the ass. You have to be really rawly honest with yourself, and then you can say to your partner, look, we're going into this, but I feel that I might be insecure, I might get jealous. And then they can say, well, what might do that? How can we work through that? How can we help each other? And that you need that level of communication really to do these things. You can't go into it going, oh, I've always had a fantasy of having a threesome, I want a threesome.
Which is what they mostly say.
Yeah,
I mean, I used to get that all the time from all the young men I used to date. They all wanted the experience. But one thing I'd ask you is, why do you think couples need to do swinging? What do you think is the reason why? If they're a loving couple, why would they want to do it? Because I know a lot of people are going to be asking that question. Why would you do it?
because it's pleasure, it's excitement, it's fun, it can bring a couple closer together. Whether you play with a third person or with another couple or whatever, sharing that experience and having that trust and that level of communication really boosts the couple when they're back together. When it's just the two of them, they've got raw honesty. They've been honest with themselves, with each other, and they've lived it out and they've had experiences. And it is exciting. The first time you have sex with someone, or whenever you have a group situation, it's really exciting. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of energy, and yeah, I'd like to say I'd recommend it to anyone, but I don't. Strong couples who share the fantasy and have boundaries worked out between them, I recommend it no end. If you've got a struggling or failing relationship in any way, don't go near it.
Even boredom, right? Even boredom, you shouldn't go near it.
Boredom. It's got to be something. It comes from when I started, and in all of my early situations, it always came from communication. It came from expressing fantasies, and saying, oh, wouldn't this be exciting? And like having a threesome is apparently the most common fantasy worldwide, right? So it's a place to start, right? That there is your basic fantasy. Well, try it, but you have to communicate it with each other first.
Right. Well, this is it, you
When you
see.
start that communication, you start being honest. And when you're being honest and communicating honestly, that's when a relationship builds through intimacy and trust. And then you get the stronger relationship. But if you just go straight into the threesome, not having discussed boundaries and limits and everything that you're comfortable with and everything that you wouldn't be comfortable with, you're heading for a disaster. But if
the first time that I described to you earlier, there was none of that going on. It was just like it just happened. It was one of those spontaneous things.
I think the spontaneous though, that's something else again, because that's working off. I've had spontaneous situations, but that's working purely off the energy of the moment, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like you and your friend clearly already had something going on between.
Yeah.
There was communication in that, and you made the judgment as the partner. Would my partner be happy with this? And you made a judgment of, yeah, he's going to be happy with this, isn't it? So
He was, and he was. So
yeah.
listen, but there are going to be a lot of people out there really curious about this. They've never discovered it. They've never done it before. They've always thought about it. Maybe they've talked about it with their partner. But what I want to ask is, let's say, I mean, it's mostly men that want the threesomes. It's not the women. So let's say there's
a lot of the women want the threesome, but it's with two men.
Yeah, I've had that too.
That's really, really.
I had that too.
Really
I had that in Greece actually.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
much more common than women
Oh, it
might.
was lovely, actually.
Because I've had lots of threesomes with two women, and I've had lots of threesomes with two men, and I'm straight, so it ends up that the woman gets incredibly spoiled.
Mm.
A lot of women will say, "Oh, no threesome. Oh, no." And the prude comes out, and then you say to them, "Yeah, but it's two men who aren't completely focused on you, and you watch them melt."
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And so where, I mean, so if somebody wants to go to a swinging party, what do they do?
First off, find one. Go online.
Yeah. So what? Just go to swingers.com or something.
a good one, or a popular one that I've come across a lot. I'm not on there myself at the moment or anything, but it's Fab Swingers in the UK.
Oh, isn't there a club called Ad Fab in?
Yeah, but
That's the club in Heathrow.
yeah, but then there's yeah, Fab Swingers. There's a section in there, and you go in the forums, and there's a section in there that's about the clubs and that, and you can find the clubs have usually got a page of their own that you can find them and ask in the forums which clubs and get advice, ask questions. Not they're not all the same, you know.
Are
They
they?
I mean, they're all the same in as far as the rules are. If someone says no, no is no.
Yeah, yeah. That's the same in the
Everyone's.
club. Yeah,
ev- I mean, I've been to clubs, and it's amazing actually the respect that goes on in clubs. You know,
yeah.
people
It's true. Yeah, I can vouch for that.
orgy and that, but it really isn't. And everyone can play to their limits. Some people want to turn up; they don't want to dress too sexy because they're new to it and they're nervous. That's fine, and people will be just as welcoming. They want to not get involved physically, but they want to watch and see what's going on. That's fine, as long as the people
Mm.
watching are consenting. It's all about consent. And in the clubs, it's really well respected. Um, and you can even, you know, for starting off, if you wanted to do a trial rather than going to a club where you might feel pressure or very publicly exposed, you could look at something like Fab. Look for someone who's got some experience, whose profile appeals to you, and invite that person. You know, see if they want to come along and have a join in with you at home before you go, sort of thing. You can, you know, buy before, yeah, try before you
That's a
buy.
great idea.
But there's lots of options for getting into trying these things out. Always work with a safe word that is respected 100% every time, and you keep an ear out for your partner. And if, like, I used to traffic lights, you know, so amber is greens, obviously go for it. You never.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
Amber is I'm close to my limit. As the partner, whichever gender it is, you know, if your partner says that, be really aware they're at their limit, right, and maybe back it off a little bit, make sure
yeah.
it's safe. But red, all play stops. So even if there's other people involved, at the point where your partner says the safe word, you're in control of making sure all play stops. You look after each other, but you have safe words. Even tell the people you're going to play with what your safe words are. You know, even if you're just going into it mild, you might have a bit of a panic attack. Safe word, because you
Very good.
predict. You know,
I'm
so
not even aware of any of that. No one ever said that to me. That's really good advice.
it's have safe words. Always have safe words. So,
Believe it or not, we've been nearly for an hour, right? It feels like 5 minutes, doesn't it? There's
yeah,
one more thing I need to ask you, and I know all the audience will want to say, if you've got one partner that wants to do it, how do they approach their partner to get to give them a to give them to try and get them to
start the
agree?
conversation.
Start. How do they start that conversation in your mind? What should they say?
Right, it's basically it's working on intimacy, all levels of intimacy and safety. Because if you just go straight up to your partner and out of the blue go, I want a threesome, your
Yeah,
partner
it's not going to work, is it?
is going to go, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Right, male or female, they're going to go, why? What's wrong with me? Right. So it's building trust, and you know, do you talk, you know, do people talk dirty in bed? Do they mention fantasies while they're having sex? If you're having sex in silence, you're missing out on a massive trick. Talk about fantasies. Say, do you like that? And if they go, oh yeah, say, no, louder. Encourage speech, encourage
So it
openness.
actually starts, the conversation actually starts way before without it being the conversation. It's actually
Yeah,
planting seeds, right?
can't do it without communication. So you have to build your communication. This might take months or years, whatever, but you have to build the conversation. And sex is a language to me, whether it's expressed physically or the words that we use. It's an extra language that an intimate couple share. Right? And that's what gives it its power and its energy. If you've got that language, you can send a text from work with only 3 words, but the partner knows what those 3 words are, and they get a twitch and they get, oh, because you've got that language.
Yeah.
Building communication. And before you think about asking your partner or suggesting a threesome to your partner, you have to ask yourself, what is it I'm hoping to see here? If it's personal gratification, just personal gratification, don't do it, because you're going into it for selfish reasons. If you're going into it, I think this could help us bond. I think I would like to see my partner get pleasure in this way. I think my partner would enjoy seeing this or doing that. Then you're much more online for enjoying yourselves, because it's 2 of you going into it with extra people. So the two of you that are the core couple have to have each other in mind, not just I want a threesome so I can tell the lads down the pub I've had a threesome or whatever. It's much
more than that, isn't it?
You're going to get that through building communication and talking and being honest. And the other thing with communication is if you say to your partner, I would like to have a threesome, and they say, oh, I'd love it, but I wouldn't like to see you with someone.
Yeah, that's what they'll say.
And it is not a trade. You can never trade. You can never say, well, I'll get that, but I have to be able to get. No, it's if that's their limit. I mean, I had a partner years ago now, and she was always like, well, I'm up for playing, but I'm not sure that I'd feel comfortable watching you with another woman. And you know what? I was like, fine, I'll work with that. I saw her get so much pleasure, and I got pleasure from that. And I never did a thing with another woman, and I didn't feel any loss because we were still enjoying the experiences that were.
Wow, it's amazing.
Because it's not about what can I get. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I got a lot of pleasure out of watching my partner getting a lot of pleasure and spoiling her and sending her to places she never knew existed. But the pleasure in that for me was that it doesn't have to involve me with another woman. As much as it's selfish to have the desires, it's also selfless when you're watching your partner you're getting, because if you love your partner, you want to see them enjoy themselves, be happy, grow, expand. That's love. Otherwise
it's a whole other area to explore, isn't it? It's a whole area when you're just the two of you all the time. It's like an area that it almost feels like an area that needs to be explored. It's like you're expanding yourself energetically, sexually, everything.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and it's a trust and communication.
Yeah.
Powerful. It's not necessarily the act, because I've spent time with partners and we've never done the thing with anyone else, but we'll talk about it while we're having sex. We'll make suggested comments while we're out and about. And do you know what? You get so high on the energy of that suggestion and the pleasure and the fantasy. It's already there. It's the trust, openness, honesty, communication is the powerful bit. And then when you do involve other people and you have that whole experience, and when you come back together, there's that whole, wow, we really are that secure that we can do this with other people and still be this solid together. And that boosts it to another level again. There's a lot to be in it, but it has to start from a healthy place, because you won't fix a bad relationship. It'll destroy it.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Well, listen, if the time's up, unbelievably. Thank you so much for being here and opening up so much. What I'd like to ask is your social media links. So, I know you're on TikTok and you're at Steve Hippy. Yeah. So if all of you out there would like to go and see what Steve has to say on his own channel, please be our guest, go over there.
Trying to make it called TikToks now, isn't
it? So about swinging, one last question. What would be your advice to people who are on the fence about swinging? Just say what you think about that.
Be honest with yourself, and I mean painfully honest with yourself. It has to start there, and support your partner when you start the conversation. When it's first suggested, support your partner. Expect, what's wrong with me? If you're doing that, you need to go a lot slower in what you're saying and how you put it. But yeah, you can bring it up subtly. Even like, do you know the most common fantasy is threesome? Do you know? Just that as a suggestion, rather than I want a threesome and freaking start a conversation around the subject. Not necessarily.
It's all suggestions, then, isn't it? All suggestions.
It's being gentle and reading the room, And if your partner locks up at the first mention of threesome, then you've got a lot more trust and communication to build. But yeah, be honest with yourself first.
Cool, excellent advice. Now, let me tell everyone that next month, on the 2nd of March, we'll be talking again. You and me on sex and conditioning, which is about sexual conditioning, how that stops you from being the beautiful sexual being that you are inside. So come back. Sorry?
Stops a lot of people wanting threesomes.
Exactly. So come back here for more unscripted, interesting conversations, everybody. Thank you all so much for taking the time to tune in. See you next month. To your success, I'm out.